Deep in the dark and rugged landscape of Scotland lie three castles, each with stories of unfortunate souls bound to the land even in death.
G-words, are there actual ghosts here?
Well, many people have said they've seen ghosts.
On the west coast sits Duntroon Castle overlooking Loch Crinan. Its original purpose when built 800 years ago was to guard the surrounding countryside from raiders.
To this day, Duntroon is haunted by the heroic deed of a lone piper who paid for his clan loyalty with a gruesome death.
In addition to this mysterious music, it is said that inside the castle clock stops, furniture moves, objects hurl themselves at walls, and the present family dog behaves strangely at times.
400 years ago, our sitting room was the approach to the main castle entrance. So anybody coming or going had to go through that room.
There is bloody history tied to this castle. It was owned by the Campbell clan during the 1600s and was used as a stronghold during the Wars of Scottish Independence. The castle was in fact attacked one eve by a MacDonald chieftain who had discovered the Campbells were away. It was a successful siege and the chieftain left a small battalion and a loyal piper to guard the castle while he continued his campaign.
Pipers held an important place within the Scottish clans. Well educated and travelled, they ranked highly in the chief's household.
Of course, upon their return, the Campbell clan were determined to regain the castle. A violent battle ensued, and the Campbell clan emerged victorious. The piper was the only MacDonald to be spared. He was then imprisoned and protected because of the piper's status, but even then he awaited his chief's return.
At last the piper saw a shape on the horizon and made out the MacDonald galley. He did the only thing he could to warn his master. He began to play his pipes.
The clan leader heeded this warning and turned his sail to safety. The Campbells punished him for his deed. Castle repairs during the 1800s brought new shocking evidence to support this story. Flagstones were being replaced. One was lifted to reveal it was concealing a human skull. At the request of the lord of the castle, the bishop gave the skeleton a proper burial with the intent to exorcise the spirit that roamed Duntroon. But regardless, the piper's spirit and song still seemed to linger. Perhaps this loyal piper was never laid to rest. Looking towards the east in the Grampian region stands the impressive Fyvie Castle. The exact date of its initial construction is not known, but it is believed to have been built by William the Lion in the early 13th century. Fyvie Castle is plagued by three different hauntings.
A hidden chamber which causes blindness or death to those who disturb it. A centuries-old evil curse laid upon the castle, still felt by those who work there. And the ghost of a betrayed wife.
One case involves the curator of arms and armor, Major John Payton. One afternoon, as he was entering the drawing room, he stepped aside to let someone pass, but upon another look, the figure was gone. Only the subtle scene of rose perfume lingered in the air. A tourist was spooked by a similar vision in the mirror of a bedroom. One moment there, the next moment gone. This vision is thought to be the ghost of 17th century Dame Lilias Drummond. She was the wife of the owner of the castle, Alexander Seaton, Lord Fyvie.
They had 5 daughters, but not a son, the heir he longed for.
Seaton, at 46 years old, soon fell in love with a 15-year-old Grizel, Leslie. During this time, Dame Lilias fell ill and passed away a few months later. Whispered rumors circulated, focusing on a tiny room in one of the towers.
Seaton, they said, had locked his wife up in this room. Anyone who attempted to release her was thrown out of a nearby window.
Just weeks later, Seaton married Grizel. His actions were never questioned because of his position in the Scottish hierarchy, but Lilias clearly had unfinished business. Outside the window, nothing showed itself, but the eerie sounds grew louder and began to resemble a woman moaning in despair.
She saw that something had been carved on the window ledge. In letters nearly 3 inches high and inscribed from the outside were the words, D. Lilias Drummond.
The castle is not just inhabited by a ghostly woman, there is also a lethal curse at the heart of Fyvie.
Twice in Fyvie's history, the curse of the hidden room was invoked. The curse is quite specific. Death to the lord of the castle, or blindness to his wife.
In 1816, the Lord of Fyvie, General William Gordon, tried and failed to locate this hidden room soon after he died. From that time, his wife went blind and never recovered her sight. Believe it or not, yet another curse known as the Curse of the Weeping Stones plagues the castle.
More than 500 years ago, a prophet named Thomas the Rhymer was renowned for his gloomy predictions. Thomas announced that he wished to visit Fyvie Castle.
At Thomas's request, the castle opened its doors to him and were kept open for years awaiting his arrival. 7 years and 1 day post his original announcement of his intention to visit did he finally arrive. But as he approached, a storm kicked up and the door slammed in his face, a personal insult in his eyes. In his anger, he cursed the castle and its lands.
The curse spoke of 3 stones taken from the boundary markers of the castle lands. Until all 3 stones were found and reunited, a hex would remain on Fyvie.
Since then, 1 weeping stone has been recovered. Christopher Hartley, who worked on its conservation and display, experienced the stone's spell firsthand.
While we were working at the castle, I spent quite a lot of time with the weeping stone, examining it and preparing it for show to the public. And it was strange that every time I seemed to be closely working with it, shortly after, something terrible happened to me.
These mysteries continue to baffle experts and tourists alike. The Angus landscape is home to Glamis Castle, one of the most haunted castles in Scotland and the setting for Shakespeare's Macbeth. Though peaceful and picturesque during the daytime, nightfall brings something more sinister. An atmosphere of sadness engulfs the castle chapel, the sound of hollow knocking, and at times a lady in grey praying and kneeling quietly at the altar.
The 6th Lord Glamis had married the beautiful and accomplished Janet Douglas, and they had a son, John.
Janet's brother was stepfather to King James VA, eventually targeting the innocent Janet. He seized Glamis for the crown. The king resorted to torture Janet's servants and clansmen in order to extract a false testimony. They were stretched on the rack. Janet was convicted of witchcraft, and she and John were condemned to death. On the 15th of July, 1537, she was tied to a post and tragically burnt alive. John was pardoned until he came of age, but before he could face his death, King James V died. Although Janet was executed in Edinburgh, her spirit still roams at Glamis Castle. When she appears, an echoed thumping can be heard. Could this be the sound of workmen hammering the scaffolding that she was burned to death on? Another case ending in flames involves angry male voices, the sound of rattling dice, and the image of a large man with a long beard.
In 1454, Patrick, the 1st Lord Glamis, was said to have played host to an evil visitor at the castle.
One Saturday night, the pair were playing, and as midnight approached, a servant reminded them that gambling was forbidden on the Lord's Day. They sent him away in irritation, playing on.
Then on the stroke of midnight, the door opened. A mysterious stranger entered. He proposed to join them in a game.
The stranger flashed a stake of sparkling rubies, and so the 3 men gambled away. But Lord Glamis and Earl Beardy soon spiraled into an argument, escalating under the eyes of the stranger.
The 2 gambling men were enveloped in flames. That night the castle knew it had entertained the Prince of Darkness, Lucifer.
It seemed that this was the price for gambling on the Sabbath. Thanks for listening to the stories and specters of Scotland's violent history. Remember to subscribe for more videos like this.